So today, really, main thing we want to touch on is a question or a series of questions that I get all the time from different customers, um, when it comes to automation. So, we have a bunch of automations in Summer, and it's one of the reasons why people love to use our products or platform, I guess you could say. um, Auto buy, auto sell, take profit, stop loss, trailing stop loss, many more hopefully to come. But one of the biggest apprehensions or the biggest hurdle for people to get over is um, this notion of like, hey, like one, who has control over my assets, and two, what's the worst thing that can happen when it comes to automation? So I know that our automation contracts or how automation works at Summer is quite secure. That's why I personally use them, but I want to make it really clear to people like why are our automations secure? How are they secure? And why should people trust their capital with our automation contracts? So if you could explain that to people, that would be great.
Yeah, no, definitely. I Thanks, Jordan, for those questions, and I love going into these details with you. So I'm Frank. I'm one of the product managers at Summer, and to get into those questions. So first, in like just like you, uh, the main thing is that I trust my own funds indeed with our automation contracts, and I must admit that I do not trust my funds in any other DeFi automations currently because the security considerations should be thought of very thoroughly. So, how does Summer think about security when it comes to automation? Well, the most important aspect, the first aspect and the most important, is that our automations are immutable. That means that there isn't anyone in our team that has access to your coins. Your coins are your coins, and in no way should it be possible to upgrade our functionality for us to gain access to your coins. So, like, that is a very strong philosophy of ours, and that we take heavy measures to ensure that we can do that. Because what does it mean to deploy immutable contracts? It means that you need to think really hard about all the possible consequences. So right now, when users set up a stop loss, like it can only be executed if it hits the validations of that stop loss. And there are a lot of validations around it that there is no way where a user can where a position can be stopped out whilst those validations uh, weren't met.
What is a
Uh,
validation?
yeah, so a validation is, for example, let's say you set a stop loss at 60%, whilst your current LTV is at 50%. So that means that like if your LTV goes from 50 to 60, then your stop loss would be eligible. Then the validation in the smart contract that is on Ethereum or on the L2s that we support checks whether your LTV is actually below that point. That's one validation. Then we have a validation that the funds that are retrieved from the stopped the stop loss that they are being sent to the owner of um, like of the position. And like that might seem trivial, and others have those validations, have those same validations as well. However, what's unique about ours is that like there is no way to upgrade these contracts from our end to remove these validations, for example. So that's what this immutability of these validations means. So that when you set up a trigger, it really is immutable.
Hmm. Okay, so wow, just trying to think like very, I guess, practically, for lack of a better word, from my perspective as a user, or from the like, yeah, let's use me as an example. Fine. Like, I have these automations set up. Like, when I think of, okay, the worst case scenario for these automations, like what happens if someone accesses your um, protocol, your contracts, like how does that how does that like, surely I would be impacted, or these automations would be impacted, or is what you're saying about this immutability meaning that even if something like that happens, I can't be impacted as a user, of my automations can't be impacted?
No, so like we cannot like create magic, sadly. So like if there are bugs, but like um, uh, we see upgradability as a bug. Uh, well, historically we had some upgradability, but we decided to remove this upgradability to make sure that like this not your keys, not your coins um, like philosophy is shared in the implementation.
Okay. So it sounds like worst case scenario is that there might be some bugs, but what's
Sorry, I'm
just like any other smart contract, but what has the track record been thus far?
I had a slight hiccup there, but I understood the question is around the track record of the automation.
Okay, no worries. We can edit this part. So let
Yep.
me start again. So of course, there's, as you said, there's no magic or anything like that. So like, there can be bugs, and just like any smart contract on chain, like your favorite protocol, like Aave or Maker or Spark, there can be bugs. So two questions there is: one, what has the track record been thus far? And two, have there been audits or stuff like that to the contracts for these automations?
Yeah, yeah. So uh, like when let me go back a little bit to what I just started saying, because indeed immutability is the first concern, but that's like from a design perspective. So when we're designing new automations, uh, like we start from the security point of view with that it needs to have the validations and there is no upgradability as a constraint. So that means that it needs to be very tight. So those go into the requirements that we send to the engineering team, and we like with like the skilled Solidity developers, we collaborate to develop these features. Um, and then those contracts they go into an audit. We have like a great partnership with some of the top auditors in the space, and we get the system audited to make sure that indeed the trust model that we intend to build is is validated through this audit. Obviously, audits are like uh, uh, no security guarantee, but they are a security validation. Like it's another tick in the checklist basically.
Totally.
Uh, we also then once it goes live, we have an immunified bug bounty program, so anyone can go to our program and report any bugs. I believe we have a very nice payout for that. I don't know the critical one by heart, but like there's enough incentive to report valid bugs through us. Um, I believe it's 100,000 US dollars. So that's a very nice payday if you just find a single bug, which can take you, well, not that much time if you're a skilled engineer, but you will have a hard time finding the bugs in our system because uh, like you will not find any obvious ones. So if there is one, it's gonna be a tricky one. Um, so yeah, that's around like how we build and deliver these automation features. But then your question was around, so what happens if the unthinkable happens? So what happens in the case there is a bug? So actually, like immutability comes at a cost. So indeed, it can happen, and it has happened before once that we had a contract that had a bug, but luckily, like the only thing that was wrong about this contract was that it like the bug was not that it's scaring users, as in that it's possible to take ownership of the funds or anything like that, or that there's a hidden door, but rather that one of the validations was implemented in a way that made it impossible to execute one of these triggers in a very a curious edge case. So that's like that was immediately resolved, and a new contract was published, and the people that had that automation were asked to migrate to the new automation, and so therefore like, nothing bad happened. Nothing bad could happen to them in that case. So like we've not had any bugs that have caused like a loss of user funds.
Beautiful. Okay, so very last question for you on the like our security when it comes to automation is, you kind of touched on it already, but like just to hammer home this point of like, I set up these automations. Who has control over my funds? Like in 30 seconds or less, how would you answer that question to somebody?
So what you need to trust is that uh, the whitelisted actors, the whitelisted bots, are executing the triggers when they become valid. So we have an external, like we have an off-chain system, and this system is continuously checking: is your trigger valid? Is your trigger valid? Is your trigger valid? And if it's valid, it fires it, and it executes it for you. And ultimately, what you need to trust um, is that bot firing. But if it's firing, it can only fire in your favor. It cannot fire against your favor. It fires according to the rules that you as a user set, and no other rules.
Awesome. That's exactly what I want to hear. Cool. All right. So thank you so much, Frank, for those answers. That's great. I'm sure people will be happy to hear that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to people using automations. And if you have any questions about the security, please talk to us, or any concerns. Like obviously, like we understand that this space is a space where security is the number one priority always, and we do not want to make trade-offs against that. So if you think there's something up, feel free to DM me on Discord, DM me on Twitter, send Jordan a message, like go to our public Discord, go to our Immunify bug bounty program. All of those channels are valid channels.
Yep. And remember, we'll never ask for your private key.
Yes. And do not click any links from people that are not on our team.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.